Mama Bear and Trigger Teddy, aka Barely Buried, first extended look. We now have full HD version of that gameplay, so strap in boys because we're going to take a look at that extended gameplay and analyze it from top to bottom. So you know what, without wasting any more time, let us begin. The gameplay starts with this view and automatically you get cabin in the woods vibe. You see broken woods structure, something we've been theorizing for a long time now, and some of our theories have been correct. Automatically you get that eerie vibe. It's like Resident Evil but more dark. Remember, this is still low quality to keep the hype up. Imagine full high quality. The gameplay starts by looking around and instantly we get the feeling that we just got here, or that this is the first time us being here. We know that except for Nurse's level, both Joy Joy Gang, Mascot Mayhem, and Barely Buried levels will have 3 zones each. This explains that we may be looking at the very first zone. Why? Coming to it right now. We can see trees around the area, abandoned, broken. The ground is well textured. Obviously the pathway is made for us to go straight, but you know me, I ain't going straight first. The pathway leads to some sort of cabin. It is active. There is a light and looks pretty alive, but dead at the same time. As in alive without a soul, which is funny because that's exactly what Mama Bear appearance looks like when we put our gaze onto her. That did not sound right. From the get-go, I just want to take a moment and appreciate the graphics again. This is gonna be by far the best looking level with most details in Dark Deception ever, and I'm here for it. Now, one of you guys pointed out this in yesterday's video, that on the left and right sides outside the cabin we can see crosses on the ground. Now hold up just a second. In the new high quality video, if you zoom in, you can see the graves structure, like something is buried underground recently, or that it's been used regularly. And the fact that it is right outside the cabin, this is creepy. I'll come to these graves in just a second, but one point for us, SmackNPie, as we have theorized that graves or cemetery will play a role in this level, and it looks like we were right, so good for us boys and gals. Look, we don't discriminate out here. Subscribe. Then the camera shifts towards left, and we see a small bridge connecting this side of the cabin and graves to the more open side of the woods, the other. I'm just gonna call this area woods, so bear with me. Okay, look, I tried. Please don't unsubscribe. The camera before approaching the door looks all the way back one last time from where we came from, and now if you zoom in all the way back, and it may be just me, but it seems like there are rocks blocking the path back to where we came from, and it does seem like a cave, especially the one from the teaser that we all seen from Dark Deception Twitter, but a blocked one. Some of you said in the last video that this is where the portal will be when we enter the level, and I'm inclined to believe both, that it could be where we came from, it could be a transition, it could be the escape sequence. We'll touch on that in the end. Then we approach the door, which seems interactable. Now my take on this is that if we are to assume that this is where the level starts, and this is where we would have to go back to at the end of the level, and that there's a portal all the way from where we came from, the area to our left could be blocked at first and might force us to see what's behind the door. Now pause here for just a second, because I want to re-emphasize the fact that this is close to entertainment we're talking about. So if they're showing the gameplay out of everything, this section in specific, and they specifically showed 3 screenshots from the cave and a low resolution Mama Bear in a wooden surrounded area, this may be it. We may be looking at introduction of Mama Bear. Behind this door we could see a cutscene of Mama Bear greeting us in her house, and the crosses around the cabin could be her little minions, aka teddies, aka her babies. Now that we as a guest arrived at her home, she will ask them teddies to get triggered, and not only that, but to greet us, and this is where we'll see triggered teddies as well. Now before you guys start saying that we connected the dots, well done, no, we haven't. Not yet. See, I believe that these graves, they're not gonna give away teddies altogether. They could be the introduction, but I wouldn't go that route. Remember the pathway to our left? Yes, this is where that comes in. I believe that Mama Bear will start chasing us. We're gonna have to run. Game will make us believe that trigger teddies are coming out of those graves, or whoever are coming out of those graves, but we will have enough time to get out of the area. Use that small bridge to get to the other side, all the way inside the cave. The rocks will go down and the path will be blocked. Welcome to the first zone. Now go all the way back. You see, when the footage starts, the pathways that are made to explore are kind of standing out on their own. They have a bit of lighting. The pathway we're taking to the cabin, and then one to the left for the bridge. It seems like these are the only two pathways. However, there's actually another one that we don't see clearly, and it's behind those graves with crosses. Yes, it may be a stretch, but hey, just giving it a shot. The area has mist everywhere. Fog. Kinda reminds me of Outlast 2, specifically when Blake got separated. Relax, no big spoilers. This is exactly resembling of that, but in a more creepy way. There's another pathway towards the right of the bridge, which means that there's more likely and high chance of us coming back here. So all in all, the theory I mentioned about trigger teddies and graves, it could happen in the beginning, but now more inclined it towards the ending, the escape sequence. I mean, what do you think? This screenshot will have the portal at the end. Remember the caption of this screenshot? Obviously, it's gonna lead us to the outside and then the portal. So for the time being, I'm open to both, this being the starting zone, the transitioning zone, the ending zone. To be fair, I'm fine with all of them, just give me the chapter 4. One last thing before we get to the story is that if you look hard enough behind those trees, you can see other areas as well, like something is going on behind those areas. And I believe, this is giving me an open world vibes, even though it isn't, I believe that all of that is basically caves that go around one another, which means we're going deep below this area that we're looking at, which makes sense because the name of this level is barely buried, which means that whatever is buried isn't trying to hide, which means that escape sequence, the third screenshot, that is the last one in the cave below the third area. You have the second and the first above this. This is the first area, then you go underground a little bit, you get the second screenshot, and when you go all the way below to find whatever is buried, you get this area, which means yes, this area has more importance than what meets the eye. And what does this mean in story perspective? If you see the caption, both on Twitter and Instagram, it says, if you go out in the woods tonight, you might get a big surprise. This is a reference from the nursery themed Teddy Bear's Picnic. Shout out to the 3 of you who reminded me in the last video's comments, which shows that outing, family, picnic, and kids, specifically in the woods, are part of Doug's nightmare, this nightmare in specific. Now this aligns with my previous theory of Doug Hauser. Remember when I said in the last video that I never specifically stated that Doug Hauser or those women were lying about sexual harassment, as pointed out from the notes in chapter 3? Or how about yesterday's video where Pierce explicitly mentioned that Doug Hauser made a living on human filth, emphasizing on the fact on how he acts, behave with people around him, and more specifically his family. I'm saving this stuff for the story explanation video, but just know this. This right here is one of many Doug's childhood nightmare memories. The reason why he acts and behave the way he does. Not saying it's justified in any way, but we're gonna get explanation and reasoning as to why he did whatever he did and why he is that kind of a person. I wanted to reference 50 Shades. I'm not going to. You wanna call it trauma? Go ahead. But you know what? Watch out for the explanation video for Doug Hauser and the story of dark deception and the nightmares and portals and all that good stuff. Anyways, we're close to 35k. Let's do this. Also join the Discord server, link in description. I have more videos planned, especially after this gameplay. Give me those goodies, and I'll see you boys on the flip side. Beep beep.